Hello, and welcome to Cafe Physics. My name is Mr. Przedwiecki, and today we're going to do a book review. I have with me my son Dylan, and we're going to review James and the Giant Peach. Now Dylan, looking at the title here, James and the Giant Peach is probably about a boy named Billy who rides a very small pineapple, right?
No.
So tell me, what is the book about?
It's about James, who rides a giant, humongous peach.
Now, where does this peach come from?
A peach tree.
And how giant is this giant peach?
I don't know.
Now, you've read the book, right?
Yeah.
And from looking at this book, there's not a lot of pictures. So this isn't one of your normal books that you read.
Yes.
There are words in here.
Yeah.
This is a far cry from Sally, Dick, and Jane that we read not too long ago. So why don't you tell me about these 126 pages of words? Now, how did you guys read this? You read this in class together, or did you read it by yourself?
We read it together. Sometimes we read it by ourselves when we had a substitute.
Okay.
Mostly Mr. Reynolds read it.
He read it too?
Yep.
So you had some times that you were listening to the story.
Yeah.
Sometimes you were reading it aloud in class, and sometimes you read it silently to yourself. Now, which one of those methods do you prefer right now?
Reading it in my mind.
You like reading it in your mind?
Yeah.
Well, as you get older, that's something that you're going to do more often. People aren't going to read to you out loud as much. So it's important when you're reading a book like this to imagine what's going on. And what I'm seeing just flipping through is there's only a few pictures. So how did you envision this giant peach in terms of its size compared to James?
Colossal.
Colossal. That's a pretty big word. Was that one of the words in the book?
No.
That's a big word, though, and I like it. Now, it looks like on this front cover, if I'm holding it there are other characters in the book. So this peach is grown on a tree, and what happens after that?
Well, James really wants to get away from his aunts.
Okay.
And his aunts are named Sponge and Spiker.
Okay.
So he tries and gets 500 seagulls onto the peach and try and fly it.
Does that work?
Yes.
It does. So the seagulls allow this peach to fly. Okay. 500 seagulls?
Yes.
That's a pretty big peach.
Not
Because I've seen
exactly.
seagulls at the beach grab an entire hot dog from people's hands. Now that's one seagull. 500 seagulls? That could probably lift a peach. So far, in terms of science, this seems pretty close to accuracy. All right, what happens then? The seagulls have this peach in the air. What happens?
So they get stuck with Clownman because the centipede.
Is that one of the characters?
Yes.
Okay.
The ladybug, the grasshopper, the earthworm, the glowworm, and the silkworm, and Miss Spider.
Okay.
All are journeying together to find New York. But they come through a little bit of a problem sometimes.
All right, so what kind of problem?
Like some people fall off the peach and fall into the Atlantic Ocean.
So this peach is so big, do you think it has its own gravitational attraction? Do the people stay on the peach because of the peach's gravity?
Yeah, I probably think so.
Okay. And this is at least 500 seagulls worth of thrust to lift this peach. Now, are these talking insects?
Yes.
So they're able to talk. So you think this is a true story or fiction?
Fiction.
What makes it fiction?
Because animals can talk.
Okay, so from that you can tell that it's not a real story. It's not a documentary. It's not an autobiography. Okay.
Yes.
Now, it wasn't about Billy. It wasn't about a small pineapple. Giant, you use the word colossal, which is similar to giant, just a different word. And his name was James.
Yeah.
Now, he got away from the aunts.
Yeah.
Did they ever make it to New York?
Yes. They actually they drove their car through the Atlantic Ocean to get James and the giant peach.
So, if they're going to New York and they had to go through the Atlantic Ocean, did this story start in America?
No.
Oh.
It
So
started
where did it
England.
start? It started in England. Oh, that's something that would have been interesting to know ahead of time. So these seagulls were European seagulls. If only they were swallows, which is another type of bird. There are different types of swallows, and their land speed is something that is, well, debatable, we'll say. So they went from England to America.
Yes.
Now, what direction is that on the map? Is that east or west?
Probably saying west-east.
A little west,
south.
southwest.
Yeah.
But it's definitely west, because if you start in England and you come to America, you're going that way, which is west.
Yeah.
Now,
But you are going a little bit down.
did the aunts do anything to provoke James for leaving? Why did he want to leave in the first place?
Because they treated him nasty. He had to do all the work while they just sat around lazy.
So this is a Cinderella type story, right? Except that Cinderella was a girl, and James here is a boy version of Cinderella. Interesting. Now, at the end you said they drove through the water. Tell me about the boat that they drove.
What boat?
They obviously were in a boat if they drove across water.
No.
What did they do?
Took a car.
They drove their car across the Atlantic Ocean?
Yes.
That has to be true, right?
No.
So is that true or a fiction again?
Fiction again.
All right, that makes it seem like it's a fictional tale. Yes. Interesting. Now, James is in New York. All these talking insects are in New York.
Yeah.
The aunts are in New York. What happens?
Some people freak out from the insects.
Okay, that's understandable. But New York City, sometimes that's just commonplace, talking insects.
They did fall on the Empire State Building, though.
They fell into it? Did they
Onto
hit it?
Yeah, they fell
The
on
peach fell on the...
Yeah, because air jet sliced through all the seagulls' strings,
Yeah.
and then it fell right onto the pinnacle.
So basically there was a big peach on the top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
Did King Kong eat it?
No.
Because that's where he likes to hang out.
There's still James and all the... And actually in the movie, all the insects go up into
Wait
the
a
air.
second. You said you read a book.
Yeah.
What is this about a movie?
Part of it.
There's a movie in this?
Yes.
Did you read the book then watch the movie?
Yes.
So how is the book different from the movie?
Well, first thing, there was no aunts that came to New York in the car.
Okay. So in the book, there were no aunts?
Yeah, there was no cloud men.
So which had more detail? The book or the movie?
The book.
The book. But there were parts that were different?
Yes.
And what did you say were different? So the book had the cloud men?
Yes.
And the movie did.
Yeah,
And what were the cloud men?
they were tall, fuzzy creatures.
Okay. And were they good or bad?
Bad.
So they tried to knock
But
down
they
the
make
peach.
the weather.
Oh, okay. So they
But
control
the
the weather.
centipede yelled at them
Okay.
first.
And that wasn't in the movie.
Well, yeah, no, it wasn't.
Okay. And you're saying the aunts were completely written out of the movie?
Yes.
So who was in the movie?
They were traveling on a peach.
But what did anyone go to help them to find them?
No.
Because the book seems to be like a lost son, and the aunts seem to realize that they truly love him, and they go to get him. And in the book they
Hate him.
find, but did they find him in New York?
Yeah.
Is there a happy ending in the book?
No.
It's still sad after driving a car through an
But
ocean.
they do get arrested, so it is happy.
The aunts get arrested?
Yeah.
This is not a tale for kids. This is a kid book?
Yeah.
They get arrested for what? Driving a car in the water?
No.
What do they get arrested for?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to read the whole book on camera, but we'll have to look into that later. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, you read the book, you watched the movie. What we often do is compare and contrast the two. Was the book... I'm sorry. When you watched the movie, you read the book first, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice things were a little different than you imagined them?
Yes.
How'd that make you feel?
Sad.
Sad?
Little
Like,
bit.
for example, can you give me an
little bit.
example?
A little bit.
Like what? What part was different that you didn't like?
Cloudman. I want a cloudman in the movie.
Okay. So the cloud men weren't there, and that upset you. Because sometimes reading a book and then watching a movie is a different experience.
And disappointing.
and disappointing. Now, I am impressed that you have read a book of 126 pages with very few pictures. Then you watched a movie. Now, I think that there are a lot of movies that come from books. So maybe this is something we can continue to do more often.
Yes.
Now, at this point, is there anything more you'd like to add about James and the Giant Peach before we end this little interview?
Well, doll, if you're watching this, put Clownman in the movie.
Okay, so that's a plea to the producers of the movie for the future.
Yes.
Now, do you think this could inspire you to write a book and then ultimately make a movie about that book?
Yes.
What would your book be about?
I have no clue yet.
Okay, so you're still in the early stages of the brainstorm. Now, if you have a brainstorm, you might need Cloudmen for that, huh? That would help you with a good brainstorm. All right. Well, that's it for today. This is Mr. Przedwiecki, and this is
Dylan Przedwiecki.
Dylan Przedwiecki. This is my son. This was Cafe Physics, and we reviewed the book James and the Giant Peach. Thank you.
Bye.